There are some things that should happen before the emergence. All right? Now, you'll agree with me that for you to enter into the next class in school, let me use primary school for instance. For you to get into primary 2, you must have left primary 1. True of us. You don't enter primary 2 without graduating from primary 1. So it means that primary 1 had to go for primary 2 to exist. Do you understand me? Are you sure you're understanding me? All right. So for you to emerge, you have to not just be trained. There are some things that you need to do deliberately in order to emerge. For you to leave primary 1 and enter into primary 2, you'll agree with me that there are a series of tests and exams that you will write. True of us. There is the first term, there is second term, and there is what? Third term. And for every first term, you must take a test. I think continuous assessment is like 2 or 3 because it's 30 marks. So 10, 10, 10. True of us. I still remember my secondary school days, right? Even in university, they still practice that. So you will take tests, and then after the test, there is now the examination. And then you do your first term examination, you pass. You do the second term examination, you pass or you fail. The third term examination is what makes all the difference. If you pass the third term examination, it means that you are now promoted after they have combined your average score for the first, second, and third. How many of you know they do that? They will combine what you had in the first term, second term, and third term, and they make an average to give you your total score for the term or for the section. Now, that is how it is with God. We have been trained for the throne, but there is an examination that you must pass before you emerge. There are tests, several tests, just the way your classroom teachers will pass you through several tests to test what you have been trained on, what they have taught you, to see if you actually got what they have been teaching you. That is how God also does his stuff. After training us, he puts us through tests. And it's until we pass the test that we can emerge. There is no emergence without an examination. There is no emergence without a test. Are we live? There is no emergence without a test. Have you shared the link? There is no emergence without a test. So God will test us. God will test us. God will test us. God always tests his children. And the question now is God testing you? Have you gone through the seasons of training and now have you been tested to emerge? Because you cannot emerge if you have not been tested. The training season is likened to when you are in school and then every day you have to go to school to receive lectures, to hear what your teacher has to say, and they teach you on different subjects. And then you learn those subjects. But the testing period is when they test to know if you actually acquired the knowledge. And in this kingdom, how God tests his children is to actually make you apply the knowledge you have received. So you have been trained for the throne. Now he brings you before what looks like the throne, and he tests you to see if you can take the knowledge you have acquired and apply them. Because until you apply knowledge, wisdom, until you apply knowledge, you don't have wisdom. I hope you know that. I think I've said that before. When did I say that? Monday. Until you apply knowledge that you know and you have not applied does not translate to wisdom. It only becomes wisdom when you have fully applied the knowledge you have gotten. And that is why I will always say that is why you will see a lot of people that are full of knowledge, but they are still fools. They know what to do. They know the right thing to do, but they are not doing the right thing, which now makes them fools. You are only wise when you take the knowledge you have heard, knowledge you have gotten in a season and apply it so that you get into another level. I'm coming somewhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, to emerge, for you to actually emerge in life, there are tests that you must undergo. There are tests and examinations you must undergo. And God is going to bring this test to actually test you to see if you actually understood what you have been trained on, if you are actually ready for the throne. Like I said, you will agree with me that before any king ascends responsibility to do, in order to see if they are fit for the throne. Even our president, before our president is ever sworn in, he's given some months to actually work in a capacity after the election. And what he does in those few moments can actually determine whether he'll be sworn in on the day of swearing in or not, even though he has been elected. And even all those campaign exercises and all are what they do to show forth that they are actually ready for the throne. That's like their tests and their examinations. So if you are just joining us, I'm talking about before emergence. A man of God says that this is our season of emergence, where we will emerge. So I said before emergence, before you emerge with God, before you emerge in God, before you manifest, before you can arise and shine, there are tests you must pass through. Let's look at Esther, for example, or let's take David. King David was just a boy in the bush. Now, while he was in the bush, he went through his training. That was his training. That was like where you go to class and your teachers are teaching you subjects. God taught David series of subjects in the wilderness. How to know him as a father, how to know God as a shepherd, how to know God as a provider, how to know God as a protector, how to know God as everything. David learned in the wilderness. So the wilderness was his training ground. The wilderness was his training ground. And then Samuel wanted to anoint a king, and God told him, go to the house of Jesse, for I have chosen someone to anoint a king. And then Samuel went to the house of Jesse, and reaching there, he asked for the sons of Jesse to be paraded before him, and they were all paraded. And of course, David was not counted. It was as though his father didn't remember he had a son. First test. How is it that the child that takes care of the sheep, ensuring that there is meat in the house, is the one that was forgotten? David should have, because of such that kind of environment, which I think is toxic, because he felt like his father didn't love him, and I don't know why. And there is no way you will not love a child for them not to know. So for David to be tendering sheep, it means that he has come to the knowledge where he knows good and evil. So he knows that his father, probably his mother, because nothing was said about his mother really, probably his mother too, they didn't love him. Because for them to parade all of the sons of Jesse and David was not there was already an indication that this guy was not loved and was forgotten. Imagine how you are still alive and then forgotten. It's like forgetting that Emmanuel is in this church. Seeing how he is the one walking. But David, now that was his first test before the ordination. When all the sons were paraded and all, Samuel was almost taken by looks, the physical attractions, and then he felt that it was the first son that was the king, and God said no. And then he asked Jesse again, are these all your son? And that was when he had to think, to remember that there was a David in the bush. And then he says, nobody is sitting until you go and call David. Now David came. I believe that as he came, he already knew what happened. He already knew how they wanted to do these things without him. But David came into the scene, and it was never stated that David had an angry countenance. or disposition. It was never said that David disrespected his father. It was never said that David was angry at his siblings. It was never said about David when it comes to forgiveness, anger, or what have you. Because God taught him these things in the wilderness. God had taught him how to stay in the wilderness and how to love and how to forgive. That was why he was able to go all out to give his life for a lamb. So God has already taught him. Now, this was the first test, the test of his heart. Because if David had harbored anger and bitterness, he wouldn't have been anointed king. He would have displayed something that would have made him disqualified at the spot. But David came into the scene and, of course, carried his beautiful, handsome face. That's what I call David. David was very handsome, very beautiful. His handsomeness was beautiful. Carried his cowboy, young, beautiful face and entered. I'm sure he was smiling. And by the time he came, Samuel asked everybody to sit, and then the ordination process happened. Now, we want to say that, oh, that would have been all God should have done to David. I mean, this guy has suffered in the wilderness. God, I think now is the time of manifestation. Have you been there? Where you think you have suffered enough, God, this is the time you should bless me. And in fact, to now help your flesh, prophecy now came at that time. That now is your time of manifestation. That's what happened to David. It was as though the stone that the builders have rejected is now the cornerstone. So God has finally remembered him in the midst of those that forgot him. That was his announcement. One would think that that is all there is to the test that God is going to give to David. But no. That was the beginning of the many tests he was going to face. He had to go and face. He had to go. In fact, his father sent his brothers into battle. It was as though after the ordination, they forgot about what happened. And so the father sent him as an errand boy that he has always been to go give food to his brothers in the battlefield. And by the time he got there, he found that a Philistine was insulting and molesting and abusing and putting fear in the hearts of all the soldiers of Israel. And David, being a small boy, was amazed. But because he has been taught in the wilderness, which I said was his classroom, because he has been trained and the training entered into him, David knew not to be afraid. David faced Goliath and conquered. Before I continue my story, I'd like to say that one of the first things to do, one of the first tests to pass before you can emerge is the test of forgiveness. I mentioned that in passing in Become Conference. But God has been telling me about forgiveness for a very long time. And let me tell you what God told me about forgiveness. He said forgiveness is a self-made prison. Did you hear me? Unforgiveness, rather. Unforgiveness is a self-made prison. When you don't forgive people, why are you not writing, please? When you don't forgive people, it's like where you open up a prison and you put yourself inside the prison and you throw the keys into the water, into the sea. And you are saying, nobody should open it. Even if there is anybody that would open it, nobody should come and open you. That's what you do to yourself when you carry unforgiveness. So I've shown you David. I also showed you Joseph. How Joseph went through seasons in his life. He was thrown into the pit. He was abused. He was insulted. After telling them his dream, everybody disliked him in the house, including his father. Because how can a small boy come and say everybody will bow down to him? So he was disliked. And now from being disliked and, of course, insulted, they threw him into the pit. From the pit, they sold him into slavery. Told his father he was dead. His father didn't look for him at all. His father didn't even bother to verify and all. And that is how he went on. But as he went on, he didn't stay in unforgiveness. One of the things that is going to stop us from emerging in this season is unforgiveness. So I have a question for you. Can you sit one place and stop talking about? I have a question for you. Who are you still holding captive in your heart? Because the way you are holding them captive with unforgiveness is the way you have kept yourself captive. Is there someone who has offended you, wronged you so deeply that you are still holding on to that pain? That pain is your own self-made prison. You must let it go and you must forgive the offender. If not, you will not emerge in this season. There is no emergence if you don't let go of anger, if you don't let go of that pain, if you don't let go of unforgiveness. There is no emergence. Because there is no man in jail that manifests. True of us. Is there a manifestation in prison? Is there a manifestation in prison, church? Not possible. Especially in Nigerian prison. Maybe there is manifestation in the Western prison. But if in Nigerian prison, you will be molested instead of manifested. You will be molested. In fact, I was hearing a story of someone that just spent just few days in prison in Nigeria. And the person had compassion for prisoners. You don't understand? They will rape you. Either you are same sex, they will rape you inside there. If you are, they don't have restroom, they don't have toilets, they are locked up inside the place. So they poo there, they pee there, they do all manner there. You sleep there, and the room is dark. There's no lights, there's no fan, there's no nets, there's mosquitoes. In fact, you are exposed to all manner of germs. I was going through social media one day, and I saw someone who had been in Nigerian prison for more than a decade. And he was not guilty, actually. He was wrongly accused and thrown into prison without due diligence. Of course, you know the country where we live in. God will help us. And so they kept him there. He didn't have money. He was from a poor background. Probably didn't have anybody to fight for him. And that is how this young boy from age 12, I think, or 13, was thrown into the prison, stayed there for more than a decade. It was one lawyer like that. You know, some of these lawyers that God used to touch their hearts, they used to just go and pick up cases like that. Just go to the prison, talk to inmates and pick up some of their cases. And that's how this lawyer met him. And this lawyer fought and he was granted freedom. Now, before he came out of the prison, they took pictures. As he came out, rather, they took pictures of him. You need to see his skin. I saw his skin, and I was not close to him, but I was irritated. And I began to imagine what this boy had gone through in that place. I'm telling you all this story so that you can imagine what you do to yourself when you live in unforgiveness. If the physical prison, especially Nigerian prison, can be this bad, imagine how much you have done to yourself in the spirit because you have held on to unforgiveness. And you have said, I cannot forgive what this person has done to me. I cannot. I'd rather die than forgive. You know what the devil tells you? The devil tells you that when you forgive, it's like letting the person go unpunished. So when you let them go, it feels like they have not paid for what they did to you. So how would you let them go? They cannot go free. That's what the devil tells you. Do you know why? I've counseled a lot of people who have been seriously affected. And whenever I mention unforgiveness, they're like, Mama, don't go there. Mama, please don't go there. Let's do something else. Let's talk something else. Some of them ran away from counseling because I was telling them about forgiveness. They didn't want to continue because they are not ready to forgive. Like they're like, this thing that this person has done is unforgivable. But what did God say? Jesus said, if you don't forgive your neighbor, he says, my Father will not forgive you. Now, the Bible also goes to tell us that while we were yet sinners, God did what? So God did not die for us because we decided to follow him. God did not die for us because we were remorseful of our sin. God died for us even while we were still living in sin. So it means that when you are to forgive, you don't forgive them because they have changed. You don't forgive them because they have repented. You don't forgive them because they have asked for your forgiveness. You forgive them just as God has forgiven you while you were yet sinner. So I don't know who I'm talking to. But the reason why might have been struggling in one level for so long might just be because of the many people you have imprisoned, and without knowing that you have also imprisoned yourself. Unforgiveness will keep you bound. You cannot move. It's like where you are inside. How many of you have seen those dungeons? It's not cell, dungeons, where they throw you inside a hole. There's no light, nothing. People that they put in those places, they actually run mental. They have psychiatric problem. Because I mean, you will be affected. Your mind, you. It's like an animal. It's like putting an animal inside. Even an animal will react. People they put in those kind of dungeons, they actually have mental problems. They become insane. They start talking to themselves, start talking to rats, start talking to ants, start talking to butterflies. They don't know what light is. Nothing, because it's a hole like underground. They put them underground. That's what you do to your spirit when you live in unforgiveness. You put yourself in an underground. If you must emerge in this season, you must forgive. And now I said that I was saying something about forgiveness, that you think that forgiving them is letting them go unpunished. But no. In fact, the earlier you forgive them, the faster they will be punished. Did you hear me, church? The earlier you forgive people that wrong you, the faster they can be punished. Because when you forgive, what you do is, God, I know you are a righteous judge. I know you are the one that pays everyone according to how they have sown to others. I am letting this go. I am putting it in your hands. So I'm letting it go so that I can be at peace with you. But I trust that you, who is a righteous judge, will plead my cause. I'm trusting that you will fight for me. And when you do that, you activate the justice of God upon them. They never go. Recently, I was telling one, I said, this person will be punished. I know you want the person to be thrown into prison. I know. Even me, as I'm talking to you right now, I feel like if I can see the person, in fact, I was asking her, do you know where this person is? If she had said yes, I would have tried to lock him up for what he did. It was very painful. I felt the pain. I even shed a tear for her. It was that painful. I said, if I know where he is, I will put him in prison for you. But we don't know where he is. But you can't keep limiting yourself for someone we don't know whether he's even enjoying his life somewhere. You know, that's the bad thing of unforgiveness. The person you are holding on to is already out there enjoying their lives, going from one level to another, but you are stuck because you have hold unforgiveness. And so you see, all forgiveness, what it does is not to the person, it's to you. The devil uses that to cage people that have been traumatized, people that have been hurt, people that have been pained, to keep them in a coven until it's time to drag them to hell. Because eventually an unforgiving person will never make heaven. No matter how much you can speak in tongues, no matter how much you can pray, no matter how much works for the Lord you did, if you hold on to unforgiveness, you will never make heaven. Never. Because Jesus said that those that stay in unforgiveness will never be forgiven by my Father. You must forgive. So I don't know who I'm talking to, but I guess the person I'm talking to is hearing me. You must let go. And I will not say, let me say this. Forgiveness is not easy. I battled with unforgiveness for a while until God began to teach me. So forgiveness is not easy. I guess I'm saying it and it's sounding easy. It's not easy. That is why you must go to God to help you. You know, when David says, search my heart, O God, that is what you do. When you are battling with unforgiveness, you go to God and you say, God, feel your love in my heart so much that I am able to let go of this person. Feel my heart so much that I'm able to forgive this person that has wronged me. That's your prayer. You keep saying that. You keep calling the person's name. And you say, I love you with the love of Christ. You will keep. You will do it and do it until until you no longer feel the pain of what they did to you. That's why you know you're forgiving them. If you can remember that stuff and still feel the pain, and still feel a little bit of like kind of hatred or malicious towards them, then you have unforgiveness. But if you can think about them and all you think about is peace, joy, love, happiness towards them, then you have forgiven them. I hope you know their religious forgiveness. Those kind of forgiveness where I have forgiven him. Oh, husband and wife are the ones that used to practice that a lot, or brothers and sisters. And when I would say, tell him sorry, I say, sorry, sorry, and I say, sorry. My children used to do that. If as small as they are, I'll tell them, they tell Heavenly sorry. You're just looking at me like this. I say sorry. Until I bring Cain, you will not say sorry. Sorry. You will know that the sorry is not even coming from his heart. That is religious forgiveness. When you are doing it because you know you just need to do it. That's not what I'm saying. When you do it and then the only thing you now be doing for husband and wife, you will not serving food. They cannot be like saying no serve our food. So you are not malicious, but you are not eating with him. So you now serving food, you now say I'm not hungry. Although you were hungry and you deliberately ate before he came, and you now say you are not hungry. You know what to eat with him because you are still angry with him. That's unforgiveness. That's malice. And these are vices. So you must let go. To emerge in this season, to manifest, to shine forth your light, which God is going to be trying to bring out to limelight, you must let go of everyone you have held bound. You must let go. The next thing we'll see in the life of David, after he overcame forgiveness. In fact, we see how he kept forgiving. You saw how he also forgave Saul when he was the one playing for demon to leave the man. Just because people were now singing his praises for defeating Goliath, the man now came after his very helper. In my mind, I'm like, all the demons that used to pursue you, that David was chasing away. So you suddenly forgot about it, and you prefer to be tormented by demons than to have David by your side. That's how bad anger can be. And so he was looking for David to kill. And David got an opportunity in the caves. David got an opportunity in the caves to kill the same person that is haunting him, that has not given him peace, that is sitting on his throne. I don't know David was now made king then. He was actually anointed king. And so David already knew that this person is just occupying space. I am the king. I should be the one asking for his head. But I'm running. And now God brought him. I'm not saying it's God. In fact, it's God. Because like I said, for you to go from primary 1 to primary 2, you have to go through series of tests and examination. So a lot of times, God tests us. In fact, not a lot of times, all the time. For every time God takes us through a training season, He tests us to see if what He has trained us in, we have learned it. He wants to see us apply the knowledge we have gotten. So He brought Saul to David. And David, while in the cage, Saul had his sword with him, had his men with him. He could kill Saul. It was easy. And what did David do? To prove to Saul that he was that close to him, he cut his garment. Imagine cutting somebody's garment and the person didn't know. That's to tell you his proximity. Cut his garment. And while he was on his way, showed him his cloak and said that the reason why he will not kill him because he still recognizes that he's an anointed man. It tells us how forgiving David is. Imagine it was someone like me. Just imagine it was someone like me. I'm not talking about you. I know myself. Just imagine it was me. For years you have tormented my life. You have been seeking my life. And then God brings you. That's when I remember the scripture that says, suffer not the witches to live. Where the Bible says they will eat their flesh and drink their blood. I will by myself bring your flesh and give you to drink. Your blood and give you to drink. But David said, no, I will not touch the Lord's anointed. Never. Forgiveness. That you recognize that this same person that you are holding on to and you are saying you will not forgive is the same person God died for. And if they know better, like I said in Become Conference, they will not hurt you. They are actually the one that need help. They need help more than you do. Because the devil is messing with their life. And I can tell you from the very first day they hurt you, they had not known peace. And so already life is already punishing them. Why are you punishing yourself for someone that is already being dealt by life? All right, so that's that about forgiveness. Now we see how he now faced Goliath. Before he faced Goliath, God taught him how to face the lion and the bear, his classroom. We saw how David was able to conquer fear in the wilderness. And now it was time for testing. God wanted to test him to see if he is also able to conquer Goliath physically. And then David faced the one man that was a terror to the entire army of Israel. David faced him. David faced him knowing that there is a God that is backing him. If you must emerge in this month of October, you must be able to say no to fear. You must conquer fear. Fear is one thing that is going to keep us from emergence in this season. That fear of I cannot do it. I don't know how to do it. You don't even want to try. In fact, David was told by his brother. Let me tell you, David was afraid that he might be killed by Goliath. Do not be deceived by thinking that David had all the boldness and audacity. That's why he just walks like this to Goliath. No. David was afraid. To show that he was afraid, we see how he actually took upon him the armor of Saul. Saul began to wear him all the war apparels because he was scared. At least let me cover myself with this their clothes. You know their clothes has iron, not just the sheet. You hold the sheet, but it still has some iron. The helmet is iron made and all of that. So if it cuts you in the hand, that pad is made of iron and all of that. Do you understand? Have you seen soldiers apparel before? At least in olden days. If you watch Troy, Achilles and all of that, Gladiator, you know what I'm saying. You watch? How many of you watch Gladiator? That was one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. So he had to put all that because he was scared. Imagine going, he doesn't know how to use the sword. David never knew how to use the sword. Imagine going before a man that has a sword, that has armies. He has been an army from his youth, and this is a youth who doesn't know how to fight. David was actually scared. His brothers added to it. They told him, how dare you? Who are you? Who do you think you are? You are carrying this Sabina from our house. You want to bring it to this place. You want to come and die. Kukuma died so that we know that we don't have you. Because actually you are already not existence. So if you are not existing. So if you die here, it will actually make no difference. They asked you to come and bring food. You now brought food. Now you will not go home. You want to go and fight Goliath. They started mocking him. And the Bible said, what did David do? David turned and backed his brother, meaning to say, I refuse to hear what you are telling me. Sometimes the voice of fear in our life can be eternal and external. You must learn to conquer fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of your abilities. Fear of your inabilities. Fear of your insufficiency. Fear that you are afraid that you are not skillful enough. You are afraid that you are not beautiful enough. You are afraid that you are not favored enough. Let me use that word. You are afraid that you are not strong enough. You are afraid that you don't have all it takes enough. You are fearful. You must be able to face your Goliath. David faced his, and that was how he emerged. You must face yours. So the question I want you to ask yourself is a reflective question: is what am I afraid of? What is God calling me to do? That because of my insufficiencies, because I feel I'm not prepared enough, because I feel I am not prepared enough, I have now abandoned. What has God asked me to do that I am fearful about? You must ask yourself those questions. What opportunities have been presented before me, and I say, oh, I don't think I can do it, and that is how they passed. Because in this season of emergence, God is going to be bringing likewise opportunities, same opportunities your way. God is going to be bringing same opportunities your way, and He's going to be looking at you to see how you can face it. God deliberately put in the heart of Jesse to send David to go and give his brothers food. It was not a coincidence. God wanted David to go there and see what Goliath was doing. That was why it was at that same moment he had to take food to them. There are sometimes God does not even tell you verbatim that this is what He's calling you to do. He just puts you in an environment that is speaking to you, to your spirit, and He's telling you, act, do something because you can solve this problem. Have you ever been there? When you find yourself in an environment, something is going wrong, and you are feeling in your heart that something is asking you to act, that you can do something, and then you are saying, no, I beg, make I no come show myself, make I no come for my hand, make I no come do this. No. David didn't plan to fight Goliath. He just found himself in an environment where Goliath was. A lot of times, how God tests us in life is to put us in situations or in environments where there is a turbulence, there is a situation that requires what He has trained you for. And then He will just sit on His throne and watch to see if you will take the initiative to act on that. For some of us, out of our fear, we are saying, oh no, I've not heard God. If I hear God, I will know that God will back me. God will not speak to you. He has already trained you. The speaking He would have given to you, He has trained you about it. It's like where a child, like I was using, the primary one student is saying that on the examination day, that they are waiting for their teacher to come and whisper the answer in their ear. It doesn't happen. Because your teacher that is examining you. When God puts you in a situation, He doesn't speak to you to act on it. He just nudges you. There is an internal knowing. You will know by yourself that you can actually solve it. It's just that you will now be giving yourself excuses of, oh, God has not said, my pastor has not prophesied, this one did not happen, I'm not with my Bible, I am not this, I don't think I have fasted enough, I don't think I have prayed enough, I don't think I have this. Before you know, your fear will just be so loud, and before you know, the situation passes and nothing is done. Nothing is done. So you must face your fear. If you must emerge, you must face your fear. Tell your neighbor, you must face your fear. If you must emerge. So I'm teaching on before emergence. Before you emerge. Is that what I called it? Before you emerge. What you do before you emerge. And I said that what you do before you emerge is to pass the test. God has trained us for the throne. And life He's going to be using life to put you in circumstances where you are supposed to put into use the knowledge you have acquired, which translates to wisdom when you do. Now, one of the things you do is that you must be, our man of God said it yesterday, bold, but that's not what I want to say. What I want to see is you must have confidence in the tools God has trained you with. For you to emerge, you must have confidence in the tools God has trained you with. Why did I say so? We look at the life of David. David is our case study. David was to face Goliath. And then because of his fears, he wanted to wear the armor of Saul. Saul suggested and he accepted. But before he could take a step out, God whispered to his spirit. Or, let me not say God whispered, but God does not whisper in the season of test. What happened is that he came to his senses and he said to himself, these things I'm wearing, I'm not used to them. I'm not a trained soldier, so I don't even know how to use these things. Because you need to be trained on how to wear those stuff and how to use them in battles. Because you know they have weights. I hope you know they have weights. They are heavy because of the metal attachments. They are heavy. I look at
And you can't see so. Imagine wearing the armor and the garment of the war garment of Saul. He would not have been able to express himself, move freely, and dodge and all of that. He would have just died in the spot. Why? Because that was not what God trained you with. The measure of is it measure? The tools God used to train you is the same tools you need to be in life. The tools. Whatever that tools is for you. The things God trained you with is the same thing God wants you to use to emerge in the season of emergence. It's the same thing. It's like when you have, how many of you have those kind of teachers that they want you to use exactly the same word they used to teach you to answer their papers? If you try to do I too know, and you now use your head knowledge, and you now try to add extra, they will fail you. Because in their mind, they are like, are you trying to tell me you are smarter than me? Then you will see that you have them right, I have them too. But it's like that. Not jealous like your teacher, but God wants you to get confident and confident in what He has taught you. Do not try to bring the knowledge of the world. Do not try to carry the knowledge of the devil inside you. Just stick to what God has taught you is enough. Just stick to what God has taught you is enough to emerge. What God has taught you is enough for you to emerge. Be confident. Then he came to his senses and he knew that what God taught him with in the wilderness was what? Catapult and 5 stones. Those were the tools God taught him with. Those are the things he used in the wilderness to do whatever he did. All the victories he had, he was that tool. And so he knew that this is the same tool God is going to use to build this person. And he removed the armories of Saul, or whatever garment is called, or whatever that garment is called, he removed it. And then he took his stones and everybody, the moment he took that, everybody said what? This is a suicide mission. David was waiting to himself. Everybody was actually waiting. Everybody, especially his brothers, they came and stood in the front like this, waiting to receive the dead body of what? Their brothers. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that when you decide to stick to what God has trained you with, many people will call you foolish. Many people will tell you want to kill yourself, Abby. Many people will say things like, you think you can do that, Abby? Go and try and disgrace yourself. Those voices will become loud and audible. People will begin to speak against it because you know what? The devil knows that the very thing you have is what you need. And so the devil is trying to discourage you and make you lose faith in what you have. Because the moment you lose faith in what you have, it can no longer work. So they were saying all those things to David, and they were waiting for him to die. But guess what? God uses the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. God uses the things that we don't think can work to do the impossible. God, imagine, have you ever imagined it? The way the Bible describes Goliath, have you ever imagined Goliath before? Imagine stone. And I'm sure the stone David was with is not a big rock, because David cannot carry a rock. True of us. And with the height of Goliath, and the fact that he has been a trained army from youth, it means that it will only take a mountain to kill Goliath. So it means that the rock that killed Goliath was a very small stone. The same that could kill a bear. Because that's the only way. The only way David draw it is because it's something he can hold with one hand. True of us. You know the catapult now. You cannot carry a big rock and hold catapult at the same time. True of us. I carried catapult when I was small, so I know what I'm saying. It has to be a very small stone. That very small stone. In the name of God. Because he had confidence in what God has trained him with. Because God was involved. Because God was his trainer. He pulled it. And it was not a stone that hit Goliath, it was God that hit Goliath. It boils down to what I was teaching you about the pastor that God told to go and pray for certain people. How many of you heard the story? I shared it with you. God the one that will do the work. And so he said he's not fortified enough. His fear became louder than his faith. And he thought he needed to fast more, he needed to pray more. And so he stayed back. And then when he now entered the service and his faith was fired up again, because of course, faith cometh by hearing, hearing of the word of God. And because his faith was fired up again, he shook himself and said, oh yeah, now God, we are ready to move. And by the time he got there, he thought that God has done what he wanted to do. That was the case with David and Goliath. God just wanted him to pass a test. A test to raise his fear. A test to see if he can remember what he taught him with his wilderness. A test to see if he had confidence in what he trained him. God just wanted. God was never after David going to actually fight Goliath. God was already there fighting Goliath. You know why? Because Goliath was already insulting God and said there is no God. So God was already involved, 100% involved in the battle. He was just waiting for an obedient person, and David presented himself. And so when David fired the catapult, God carried the catapult, turned it to a tool that can kill body, soul, and spirit. And the moment he touched the head of Goliath, he fell down dead. And David used his knife and cut off his head. Not his knife, Goliath's knife, and cut his head. And lost it. This is the head of the man that defiled God. Now, what am I teaching you this evening? I am teaching you that when God trains you, whether in a business, a profession, in ministry, trying to go the way of the word, or trying to use another man's tool to run your business, your ministry, or whatever, because you lack confidence in what God has given to you, it's going to be the beginning of the downfall of that business or ministry or what have you. Because that thing that you see and you mistake is the very thing that God wants you to do. Look at the life of Moses. Moses said, I am a stammerer. God, how can you send me to Pharaoh? Then when God was done charging him up and telling him, I can see you as a stammerer. I can do anything I want to do with you. Moses now said, okay, so if I go now, what am I supposed to do here? Just say, go and say, I am and I am sent you. I'm going to say, okay, if I say finish, if I go and tell the team finish, God, what is it that I can do? What is the sign? What sign can I show to the people? What sign can I show to Pharaoh that you are with him? And what was the question God asked him? Church, what was the question God asked him?
If you send him, you will not go with him.
What is in your hand? Who said that?
Okay.
What is in your hand? God will only use what you have in your hand. What you have in your hand is what He has trained you with. For all the years, God has trained him as a shepherd. In the wilderness, the Bible said that Moses was tending the sheep of his father-in-law, Jethro. So God raised him for 40 years to be a shepherd. So what he had was his shepherd rod. And what is in your hand? What is in your hand is enough to go and conquer Pharaoh. What is in your hand is enough to make you the deliverer I called you to be. You don't need anything extra. You don't need a cutlass. You don't need anything. You just need what you already have. So I've got to tell you that until you have confidence and let go of the fear that what you have is not enough, you are not going to emerge. In you is embedded everything you need to excel and emerge in life in this season. Your looks, your brain, everything. Even the ladies, even the people that cannot work, their state, that crippled leg is part of what they need to advance. The fact that your account right now is 0.00 naira is all you need to emerge in this season. You don't need an extra stand up. I come to tell you that you don't need an extra. God asked Moses, what's in your head? And he said, my God. And God said, be able to do that. So the rock on the wall. And it will not happen. It turned into a serpent. He didn't know that what he had in his hand, though he's looking physically as a stick, in the spirit, carries the ability, the sufficiency of God. What you have. What you have in God is bigger than what you Jesus, I have everything I need. A lot of Christians don't believe that. They say, no, I want Jesus plus money. I want Jesus plus husband. I want Jesus plus children. Jesus is not enough. Jesus is not enough. I want Jesus plus some sugar. I want Jesus plus the boyfriend. I want Jesus plus anything else. Jesus is not enough. But Jesus is actually enough. You and Jesus do not keep the world. Just you and Jesus. You and Jesus. That's exactly what God wanted Moses to be alive. Same thing happened today. David used his stone and he was able to kill Goliath. I'm going to tell you this evening that for you to emerge, you must use the stone and you must use the catapult that God has trained you with. So my question for you is, what is in your hand? What do you have right now? Right now, I'm talking about what you have tomorrow. What do you have in that business? What do you have in that ministry? What do you have in that career? What do you have as a student? What you think you have that is not enough is actually enough for you to emerge. If you can take God along with you. Our man of God said, you must be aligned to emerge. All you need is alignment. Are you in the will of God? If you are in the will of God, what you have is enough. What you have no longer becomes enough when you are outside of the will of God. I was going through my internet and I saw something. A young boy was having a spoken word illustration, and he said that efficiency without God's sufficiency equals to deficiency. Let me say it again. He says efficiency without God's sufficiency equals to deficiency. So what does that mean? It means that no matter how skillful you think you are in the matter, no matter how good in business you think you are, without God, you will walk in deficiency. It is the God factor that makes all the difference. No matter how efficient you are as a professional, no matter how efficient you are as a student, no matter how efficient you are as a business person, without the God factor, it amounts to what? Deficiency. So you must know that it's like having 1 trillion times 0 equals to what? I have mathematician in this house. That is what it is when your life is a God. When you are not aligned with God, it's like anything you can ever become in life times 0. It means that you amount to 0. One of the things that you must face, and I close, one of the things that you must do before you become is to overcome laziness and inconsistency. Laziness and inconsistency. Laziness and inconsistency and procrastination is one of the major arrows the enemies have shot on this generation. Then you have youths that are lazy. People who no longer want to do anything, but they want everything to do for them. That's right. People who don't want to do anything. It's like having a student who don't want to study for exam, but expecting to pass the examination. How? How? I want to get your father. Then in that point, I give you microchips. Microchips guys. He now gives you microchips and you pass. But what? Life will still present another examination. That one that you maneuver and pass, God will bring you into the place where you need to use microchips and like this one you need to use your hands to do the work. You say you have the knowledge. Now you are in the industry. Do what your God is saying. That is when you will not disgrace both yourself alone, both your teachers, your village people, and everybody together because you use microchips. That's why a lot of students don't know that they are doing more harm to themselves than good when they actually do malpractice in school. Because if not for anything, your children will ask you questions. They'll not ask you, Mommy, you said you studied accounting in school. Can you help me solve this mathematics? They now bring it to you. At that point, you cannot do microchips. And then your children are not looking at you. Now, me, solve it now. And I'm like, that's my glass. I think my eye, something is wrong with me. I think we should wait for that. Let's wait for that. Mommy, you use microchips in me. That's what is happening to you. Alright, so procrastination, laziness, and I mentioned three things. Inconsistency. You must let go of inconsistency. You must be willing to do the work. I'll give you an instance. Last year, towards the end of last year, I decided I was going to wash my hair again. Because I realized that relaxer has been doing a lot of damage on my hair. But every time I use relaxer, both organic and inorganic, it burns my hair. And then my scalp, my hair is becoming dry, my hair is falling out. My hair does not even have any texture again, nothing. And then I'm carrying wounds and wounds. And then I need to see retouch. While the wound is healing, I will need to retouch again because the hair has gotten some undergrowth again and all of that. You understand? And then I made a decision. I don't need to touch my hair. And so it wasn't easy because I've been touching my hair from a little girl. Like I can't even remember how small I was. And I had a stubborn hair. One of the reasons why I never chose natural hair. My hair was stubborn. And so I said, God, is it I cut this hair or I cut it to natural hair? One of them will happen. And then I asked my husband, should I buy my hair? My husband said, no. Alright, so I'm like, okay, so I don't have an option but to go for natural hair. And so I went to my hairstylist and I told her I want to wash my hair. And she said, Ma, should I bring relaxer? I said, no. She said, Ma, your hair can't undergo. I said, no, I'm not doing relaxer again. And she said, Ma, this one is initial gara. I guarantee you that in the next 2 weeks, you will run to my shop with relaxer and say you touched my hair. And I said, no. Guess what? I was tempted. You know, because of all the recipes of relaxer and all the damages and all of that, it became worse. My hair was still falling, so strong under. I could barely pass comb through. It was painful. It was irritating me. And all of discomfort and all of that. I was almost going to go and get relaxer. I said no. Now I would rather barb my hair and beg my husband and back to say that's relaxer. And so I did 1 month. We are moving. 2 months, we are moving. I said, Ma, the height I give you is 3 months, my hairstylist. 3 months came, I came and met her. I said, I've done 3 months. We get to call. She said, Ma, you see the way this hair is, man, look at my touch it, my feel like that. I felt it before I come to your show. I know it's thick. I said, Ma, use relaxer, use relaxer. Before it comes, if it gets higher than this, you have to use like 5 relaxer. That's plenty money. I said, no. Now I'm saying this story to tell you about the power of consistency. Today, it's almost a year since I carried my natural hair. Since I said no to relaxer. I went to a shop today to make my hair. And she saw the hair, she's like, man, what is remaining of the touched hair? It's just a little, it's just fall off. Your hair now is now the natural hair. I said, Ma, I like this hair now. I said, you like it. So you like it. She said, Ma, why are you talking like this now? Have I not been a fan of you? I said, you were the devil in fact. You were the devil after my life because of my decision. But thank God for Jesus, I was consistent. Now my hair texture, my front hair that I was told will never come back, my hair texture, everything, beautiful, back to normal, beautiful, healthy, the hair is growing. Now, why did I share this story? I share this story to tell you what the devil does when you want to take a new lead. The moment you decide to say, no, I'm emerging, the devil comes with things to stop us from emerging. The devil comes with stories. The devil comes with discouragement. The devil comes with distractions to stop us from emerging. But we must hold on to consistency. We must say, if you are the one that is saying, God, I'm going to start praying every morning, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing that, I'm going to stay away from sin and all of that, you must choose consistency. Because the devil is going to fight your decision, is going to try to ensure that you don't keep to your decision. What will make you to be consistent is when you decide to stand your ground and choose discipline. Instead consistency instead of inconsistency. Discipline to do what you need to do instead of procrastination. And what was the last one? Laziness. Discipline not to be lazy. When God is saying do this and the reason why we procrastinate actually is because we are lazy. It's laziness. God is waking you up to pray. You are saying, no, God, let me pray, not 3 again. So, Lord, can we move it to 4? And then before you know, you sleep and wake up by 7 a.m. and you do not pray for that night. It happens to me, it happens to almost everyone. But you must master the art of consistency. You must develop discipline as a skill. You must learn to be disciplined, to be able to do the things that is required of you to do at every stage of your life. If not, you will not emerge. To emerge, you must be disciplined, you must be hardworking, and you must stay consistent. When you decide to take that step, follow it to the end. If you see your end, let it see your end. That is why I'm going to end with Esther. Esther knew that if she does not take the step of going before the king, she and her people will perish. And that is why she wants the bridge and saying, what? If I perish, I must go on to the king. And by the time she went, what happened? The king accepted her. When you choose consistency and discipline and hard working over laziness, inconsistency, and what's the last one? Procrastination. You will find that doors will open up unto you. Favor. And these favors and doors will launch you into your season of emergence. Can we rise to our feet? David did not face Goliath by saying, let me go home and go and get my catapult. David faced Goliath because right where he was, as he was going to take food to his brothers, he was carrying his stones and catapults. It means that, if you are listening to me, what it means is that everywhere you go in this season of emergence, you must go with all the tools that God has trained you with. You must be ever ready with the revelation He has given you, ever ready with the word He has given to you, ever ready with the skills He has given to you, ever ready to showcase, because you don't know when the opportunity will present itself. So you must be ready. David did not say, let me go home and get a catapult. If he had done that, maybe probably another person would have arrived and faced Goliath. There was a moment, an opportunity, and a window that he must not miss. A lot of us are still where we are because we have missed a lot of opportunities because we were never ready. God is saying in this month of emergence, you must be ready at all times. Must. In business, you must be ready. No more excuses, no more. You must be ready at all times. Can we begin to pray and ask the Lord to help us? Can you pray and ask the Lord to help you? Help you to face your fears. Help you to forgive. Help you not to be lazy in this season. Can I hear your prayers? Help you to be ever ready in this season of emergency. To not miss out in opportunities when it arises. To not miss out. To not procrastinate. To not be inconsistent when you take a step. Say, Lord, help me. Can I hear your prayer? Salina Kadom Shatana. Lalabande Kesun Sigarina. Mashanta Rabadom Satani. Elamande Kesuni Marali Kadosha. Lord, help me to stay consistent. Lord, help me to overcome fears. Lord, help me to know that I have in my hands all that I need to emerge in this season. I have in my hands all that I need to emerge in this season. Help me to be confident in what you have trained me with. Help me to be confident in what you have trained me with. Like David, help me to be confident in my stones and my sling. Help me to be confident in my stones and my sling. In the name of Jesus. Like Moses, help me to be confident with my staff. Help me to be confident with my shepherd rod. Oh, in the mighty name of Jesus. You know what God began to tell me? He says, look at it. The same rod that Moses had was the same rod when he faced obstacles in the part of his deliverance ministry. He used the same rod to part the sea. In the wilderness, it was the same rod that he used to cut water. So, what he's saying to us as a church, in this season of emergency, obstacles will come. But he said, the same way you were able to pass through the door with what he has trained you with, is the same way you will use what he has trained you with to solve those problems, to face those obstacles and overcome them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it says the tool he has trained you with is a battle for emergency. Sorry, is a tool for emergency and a tool for a victory in the season of emergency. Alright, it's a tool. So it's going to be there to help you in hard times. It's going to be there to help you to pass the Red Seas of life. It's going to be there to help you when the going there stop. It's going to help you to emerge. You want to pray? Lord, help me to take cognizance, to take notes of the tools that you have trained me with. That's the prayer. The tools that you have trained me with. Help me to know them. Help me not to forget them. Help me not to forget them. Help me to know how to use them. Lord, help me to know when to use them and how to use them. So that I can emerge. 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 In the mighty name of Jesus. Help me, oh God. 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 Help me, oh God, to know these tools. Help me, oh God, to know these things that you have trained me with. Help me, oh God, to have confidence in them. Help me, oh God, to have confidence in them. Help me, oh God, to have confidence in them. In the mighty name of Jesus. Can we lift up our hands and begin to thank the Lord for the word that we have heard? Did you learn something?
Yes, Mom.
Did you learn something? Can we begin to thank the Lord? Thank the Lord for the words that you have heard. Thank the Lord for this your season of